You said it would take 3 months. It took 9. You budgeted 2 million. You spent 5. You promised delivery in 2 weeks. It arrived in 6. And every single time, you were genuinely surprised. Not because you were careless, but because your brain is wired to plan from fantasy. And you call that fantasy schedule. This is called the planning fallacy. This is number 37 in our 225 plus bias series. My name is Dr. Cussons, Africa's premium high performance thinking and strategic execution expert. The planning bias is the systematic tendency to underestimate the time, the cost, the resources, and the risks required to complete a future task or project, while simultaneously overestimating the benefits. Even when you have direct personal experience of similar tasks taking longer and costing more than planned. Sometimes it is deliberate deception, sometimes it is not deception at all. It is the planning fallacy. Psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, two of the greatest minds in behavioral science, they call it planning bias. Now, they first identified and named this bias in 1979. And what makes it so devastatingly persistent is it survives your experience. That it happened before doesn't mean it won't happen again. That's one bad thing about this bias. You've been late before, you've overrun your budget before, you've under-delivered on a timeline before, and yet the next time you sit down to plan, you do it again. You go to the airport late again. You arrive that meeting late again, with equal confidence, equal optimism, and equal inaccuracy. Because the planning fallacy is not driven by ignorance of the past. It is driven by how the brain constructs the future. So when you plan, your brain does not consult your history of similar projects most times and the history of their actual outcomes. It imagines the best case execution scenario of the current plan. Now, assuming that everything goes smoothly, everything goes fine, that every dependency delivers on time, every team member will do his or her work. Yes. And every team member will perform at their peak and no unexpected complications by the grace of God. It plans from the ideal scenario, not from the statistical distribution of likely scenarios. And in the real world, the ideal scenario is almost never the one that shows up. No. So, this has implications in relationships and in business. In business, a business owner decides to build a new website for her company. She sits with her developer and they agree. 6 weeks maximum. 800,000 budget. Simple, clean and professional website. So week 6 arrives. The homepage is designed, the content is partially written, the payments integration has hit a technical obstacle, the photography session, which somehow wasn't factored into the original timeline, hasn't happened yet. So, 2 more weeks, says the developer. Maybe 3 weeks, let's see. By week 11, the site is almost ready, but the whole Steam migration created an unexpected compatibility issue. So the content still needs one final round of review. Now the budget has climbed to 1.4 million. Week 14, the website is ready. Remember, how many weeks extra? So it was 8 weeks late and 600,000 over budget. Here's the most revealing of all this. When the business owner plans her next project, she will almost certainly make the same optimistic predictions. She won't do that because she forgot this experience. She will do that because planning fallacy causes the brain to plan each new project as a fresh best case scenario rather than as a data point in a historical pattern of similar projects. You see people see somebody die of accident by overspeeding and they think theirs will be different. That's the same roots. This plays out in business at every scale, whether it's construction, whether it's platform. Construction projects delivered years late and billions over budget. It happens every day. Look around your country, you will see product launches that miss every milestone, marketing campaigns that consume 3 times the allocated resources, government infrastructure projects across Nigeria, across the world, across Africa that became monuments to the planning fallacy operating at institutional and national scale. Look, for example, the Sydney Opera, the Sydney Opera House. It was projected to be completed in about 4 years at a cost of 7 million Australian dollars. It took 14 years. How many years more? It took 14 years, that's 10 years more. Yeah? And cost $102 million to be completed. Can you believe it? You may say it's incompetence. This is not incompetence, properly so called. It is the planning fallacy operating without a counterforce. It's the same in relationship. A couple decides to renovate their home. They sit together with excitement and sketch out the plan. 3 months, we'll manage the budget carefully. It won't disrupt our lives too much. We're going to just get this done. Yeah, just 3 months. But 4 months later, they are living in a half-finished house. The budget has been exceeded. The dust is everywhere. The stress has created tension between them that neither anticipated. Even, somehow they are thinking they are incompatible because of the kind of stress this has created for them. Decisions they thought would be simple, these have become unexpected sources of conflict for them. What they planned as a 3-month project that will bring them closer has become a 6-month endurance test that is straining the relationship, properly straining it. They are not bad planners. Don't say they are. They are not an incompetent couple. Things happen. They are human beings operating under the planning fallacy, imagining the best case version of a complex undertaking. Now they are now surprised by reality. Reality delivers the average case version instead of the best case version. Now this also shows up in personal commitments. I'll have the business plan ready by end of the month. I'll finish the book in 6 months. I will clear this debt in 1 year. I will lose the weight in 90 days. But you see, these were all genuine words, intentions, very genuine. When they were saying it, they thought to work that way. They were all constructed from the best case planning scenario, all vulnerable to the planning fallacy, which will cheerfully allow you to make the commitment while quietly hiding from you every obstacle, every distraction, every competing priority, and unexpected complications that the real world is already preparing to deliver. So mind it, be guided. There are 3 fixes that I will encourage you to adopt and adapt immediately. Number one, use what we call reference class forecasting. Now, plan from your history. Don't plan from your imagination. Before committing to any timeline or budget, stop and consult your actual track record with similar projects. Ask yourself, how long did similar projects actually take? Not how long I planned for them to take. How much did comparable initiatives actually cost? Not how much I estimated. What unexpected complications arose the last time we did something similar and the time before the last time? Now, this approach is called reference class forecasting. It was developed by Kahneman himself and has been proven to dramatically improve planning accuracy. It forces your brain out of the best case imagination and into the statistical reality of your actual experience. So plan from your history, don't plan from your hope. Number two, build in a systematic buffer. Use the multiplier rule. Once you have your best estimate of time and cost, apply a deliberate multiplier before committing to that amount or to that time. For your time, multiply your estimated time by 1.5 at a minimum. For complex or novel projects, multiply it by 2. For your budget, add a minimum of 30% contingency. For projects with significant unknowns, add up to 50% contingency. Now, this is not pessimism. This is not padding for laziness. This is the empirical correction factor that your decades of research have shown you. This is how it always happens. So, always use those decades of research on human planning that you have been able to gather. It consistently indicates that you need to be realistic in your projections, and it will be your salvation when the problem starts. So the developer who says a 6-week delivery timeline should not commit to 6 weeks, should commit to what? 9 weeks. The budget of 800,000, you must plan for 1.2 million. The business plan you expect to finish in a month, give yourself 6 weeks. Why? You are using multiplier. So when you finish early and under budget, you don't celebrate. That is what? Under promising and over delivery. Never let the absence of a buffer be the reason a project fails, a relationship strains, or a client loses trust in you and say, this guy is just, yeah. Number 3, conduct a pre-mortem on every major plan before execution begins. Conduct a pre-mortem. Before launching any significant project, gather your team, gather them together, or your trusted inner circle, and run a pre-mortem. Say something like, imagine it is 12 months from now and this project has failed or significantly overrun its timeline and its budget. What would have gone wrong? What went wrong? This exercise, which you also mentioned in optimism bias, I don't know if you remember, is one of the most powerful antidotes to the planning fallacy available. It bypasses the brain's tendency to imagine only the smooth execution or best case path by making it psychologically safe to identify obstacles, identify dependencies, identify risks, identify issues before they arrive. Every risk identified in a pre-mortem is a buffer you can build, a contingency you can fund, a surprise you will not be surprised by because you identified it. So here is the honest assessment that I want to leave with you today. As a business owner, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a professional, as a doctor, as a bricklayer, as a human being who makes commitment to other people, every time you underestimate a timeline, someone is waiting on the other side of your promise. Remember, a client who built their own plan around your delivery. They said, we're going to open shop on so date because my consultant will finish on so date, has already planned and made commitment to other people. A team member who organized their workload around your commitment has also made commitment to other people. A partner who made arrangements based on your assurances, a customer who paid in advance based on your projected timeline, has made commitment to other people. So you failing him will also make him to fail other people he had promised. So the planning fallacy is both a personal productivity problem and a trust problem. So don't say, is it not just I didn't deliver today? Wait, no, it's a trust problem. It's a personal productivity problem. It has other, opportunity cost to this other person who are dependent on your promise, who has been dependent on your promise. Every overrun timeline erodes credibility. Every blown budget undermines confidence. Every missed commitment, however well-intentioned, chips away at the foundation of trust that your business and your relationship are built on. And the most painful part is this: you made the commitment genuinely. You believed the timeline when you gave it. So it wasn't that you were being deceptive. You intended to deliver what you promised. But intention without accurate planning is not integrity. Listen, it is sincerity in the service of a fantasy. The most trusted professionals, the most trusted reliable leaders, the most trusted and respected entrepreneurs, they are not the ones who make the boldest promise. They are the ones who make accurate promises, who have learned to plan from reality rather than from optimism, who have built the discipline of the buffer and the courage of the honest timeline, and who consistently deliver what they have committed to. So what's the advice? Half your promises. Cut your promises into half. Double your buffers. Consult your history before you commit your future, and build a reputation in business and in life, not for the grandeur of your plans, but for the reliability of your delivery. That reputation, and one by one, and when you keep your promise, that reputation, and one step at a time, that reputation is your brand. It's your distinctive personality. It's your distinctive mark. It's worth more than every optimistic projection you have ever made. It is at the heart of your business. So this is bias number 37. The most powerful word in your professional vocabulary should not always be yes. It should be accurate yes. Learn the difference between yes and accurate yes. Share this with every entrepreneur, project manager, and leader who needs to close the gap between what they promise and what they deliver. Always remember to ask yourself this question: when was the last time I trained the mind that makes the money? Click on the link below and join my master classes. See you tomorrow.